So let's see here. We have the slate, and we have a bit of a synopsis for each, it looks like. Creature Commandos is the first one that we heard is going to be released by James. And that was, I imagine, his secret project he had teased us with a while back. It's going to be a 7-episode animated series written by Gunn that is already in production. Originally a team of classic monsters assembled to fight Nazis. This is a modern take on the concept. The voice actors have yet to be cast, but the executives are looking to find people who can voice the animated characters and also portray the live action versions when the anti-heroes show up in movies and series. Anybody want to say anything about Creature Commandos?
I'm excited for Bitchin' Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro.
Sounds a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think this is one that has some promise just because of how obscure it is. They can do a lot with the characters. So of all the things that are coming out, this one has sort of that James Gunn feel to it, the kind of characters he likes to take and put them into juxtaposing scenarios with one another. Am I excited about it though? No. I mean, it's not a movie, right? It's a TV show.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want movies. Give me the movies.
Yeah. Anybody else?
No? Agreed.
We got Waller, which is a spinoff of Gunn's own HBO Max series Peacemaker. Viola Davis will return as the ruthless and morally ambiguous head of the government task force.
Hot garbage.
It is being written by Chris Henry and Jeremy Carver, the creator of Doom Patrol.
Hot garbage.
Waller, colon, the Woman King.
Yeah.
Hot garbage.
Tom, are you excited about that one?
Not really.
I
mean, it has a potential. I haven't seen Peacemaker yet. I've seen only part of an episode. Well, and there was a weird statement that Gunn made about this whole thing too. It made it sound like he wasn't going to be doing Peacemaker season 2 because of this, but then again, it could just mean not yet. I don't know. There's a lot around I want to see that press conference in its full glory so I can hear the context of everything, at least as best as possible, because there's certain things I just don't understand with how he worded them. But I mean, it has the possibility of almost being like Suicide Squad the series, but at the same time, I know Waller has some character bits they can play with. I'm just not all that intrigued by the character.
I think this decision was made because many months ago she had this Woman King movie coming out, and they're like, "Oh, let's give her own series," and they're like, "Well, she's already playing Waller. Let's go!" Woohoo! I'm not excited at all for
it. I can see it as a good launching pad for various.
I can see why. Yeah, and there's if you saw Peacemaker, and everything that this character's been in, I'm going to agree with Script from last night on this one. You could make a show of it. Am I excited about it? Not at all. But I think you can do, and especially if you bring Peacemaker back, I think you can take that series a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, we don't know yet for sure what's going on with that, so we'll have to wait and see. But then the next project, then, of course, is Superman Legacy, and this is where they say the true DCU begins. The movie featuring the Man of Steel that Gunn is writing and may direct, although no commitments on that end have been made yet. While the 2 previous titles are meant to be aperitifs? I don't know. What does that mean?
Aperitifs? Oh, sorry.
Aperitifs.
Yeah, like appetizers.
Yep.
Aperitif. That's the French version.
In Saffron's
you need to catch
words,
up on your Parisian vocabulary.
I guess I do. Mike needs to take me some fancy restaurants.
Or like we would say in Mexican world, that is your salsa and chips.
Superman is the true kickoff for the duo's DCU plans. Saffron said,
somebody can't handle his chips. Salsa a little spicy over there, Mike?
No, that's not me coughing.
Who's coughing? Tom? Just the thought of nachos got
Anyway, Saffron says it's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way.
Sounds like flashbacks to me.
He is kindness in a world that thinks kindness is old-fashioned. A release date of July 11th, 2025 has been penciled in. So, yeah.
So it's a not origin story.
I'm fine with that. I'm glad he said truth, justice, and the American way. That had me going, okay, now you got me interested.
Intentional, for sure.
Because I gotta say, when you mentioned that last night, you shut me up real fast because mostly on a Batman rant, but yeah, you're right. That the fact that he's even saying that is what we need, and it's what we're starving for as a country and as fans. We need to see truth, justice, in the American way, America.
And hopefully the
Bullshit.
American way that we used to believe in. Not, let's hope it's not the current version that seems to be popular.
Oh, you mean the
Some.
corrupt way?
You just would hate to see Superman sharing a summer of super love with everybody. He could do some real damage. Businesses
again-
really need to board up with some serious steel.
I think I've seen a comic with Superman holding a sign. So, it's kinda-
Lanterns is Greg Berlanti's long in the works Green Lanterns TV series, that one has been scrapped. Now Gunn and Safran are the stewards, and in its place will take the new space cops with power rings. Our vision for this is very much in the vein of True Detective, Safran described. It's terrestrial based. It will feature prominent Lantern heroes Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and is one of the most important shows they have in development. This plays really big role into leading into the main story we're telling across film and TV. So,
Okay.
anybody anything to say about that one?
I think I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. Green Lantern's actually number 2 for me behind Batman in the DC universe. What I would have liked to have seen instead, I'm not a big James Stewart fan. I'm a Hal Jordan fan, but what I would have liked to have seen, if they're going to do a team up, is do a team up that already worked in the DC universe that was well done with some fantastic story runs, and that would have been Green Lantern with Green Arrow. But there are a myriad of reasons why that wouldn't happen, but that's what I would have wanted to see. And
I
I'm the
want to
only
know how many
person who-
episodes are involved. That's a lot of this is what still remains unknown is how many episodes, how long is it? Is it a little 6-episode kind of thing? Is it a 12
Yeah.
episode? What are we looking at here? Like how deep are we really going to go with it? Is this multi-season? Is it single
Yeah.
season? All that kind of stuff. We don't know.
Well, I'm sure we'll get more information as we get closer, but you got to remember, this stuff is all a couple years out. That's the other thing we got
True.
to remember. The Authority, a movie based on a team of superheroes with rather extreme methods of protecting the planet that first originated in the late 90s under an influential imprint known as Wildstorm. Run by artist and now head of DC Publishing Jim Lee, one of the things the DCU is that it's not just a story of heroes and villains, said Gunn. Not every film and TV show is going to be about good guy versus bad guy. Giant things from the sky come and good guy wins. There are white hats, black hats, and gray hats, added Safran. There are kind of like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. So that sounds interesting, although I've been getting a lot of mixed reactions to the announcement of it. So yeah. Any feelings on that one? And again, I think this is definitely the one that James Gunn's going to probably direct. I'd take a guess.
Why do you think that one, Tom?
Because he said it's his passion project. And it's right up his alley as far as the type of characters and story that's being told. It sounds like something right out of the third act of Super.
Is it set in Gotham? Where's that thing set?
I have no idea.
I'm just looking at the font on it on the design for the logo. I'm just curious if that gives us any indication about a flavor for where they would go with it.
Right.
I think you could have a lot of fun with the corruption in Gotham if you want to do the stuff with not everybody's perfectly good, not everybody's perfectly bad. There's lots of in between. If you want to do all of that and you want to do relativism, I think that Gotham's the perfect place to do it. But it could also be fun if you go into other places in the DC universe and the places that are not always seen in the same light as Gotham, and then present the different shades of those as well.
And
Who
I wouldn't
knows?
look
Maybe
too
Ma
much
and
into
Pa
the font.
Kent were terrible
I was
people
gonna say-
with secret backstories we have yet to discover.
I wouldn't look too much into the font because this was fan made. So, just to be clear.
Every single one of these is fan made. Hire that person. They're great artists.
Well, I don't know where they took them from initially, maybe from a comic. So that's what I would assume
knows?
for some
Who
of
knows?
these. Yeah.
I was
Yes.
looking at the Batman logo actually earlier, so I'm glad that you say that, because I looked at it and I thought, that is the strangest thing ever. It's calling back to the 60s. What are they doing?
Isn't that
So-
from the animated series with the same title?
Maybe? Was it itself also a callback to the 60s?
I
with Adam
think
West?
that series was, if I remember right.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense.
Because wasn't that the one that Diedrich Bader did the voice for? And it was more of a comedy kind of, well, not comedy, but tongue in cheek, I guess, whatever. I don't know. There's so many Batman shows. Okay. So yeah, Paul had to leave us. Unfortunately, he's dealing with something in the background. Hopefully everything goes well for him. Check out Call Me Chato. And any of his super chats that we get for him today, we will try to address when he's able to make it.
And guys, if you're not subscribed to Paul's channel, please subscribe. He's almost at $100,000. He's just so close.
Subscribers, not dollars, but $100,000.
I'm sorry, subscribers. Yeah, subscribers.
If every
I'll take
subscriber
that.
was worth $1, I'd take that. Heck yeah.
Fuck
And even though we
yeah.
don't know what's wrong and why he had to drop, if everybody would go and subscribe, we'll give you a reason. Like we'll make some horrible thing. He's got kidney stones like you wouldn't believe.
Well,
people.
he's
kidney
back.
stones. The size. Oh no, never mind.
Come on.
Kidney stones have been.
We were just
exited.
saying
He's back
you weren't
again.
going to be back.
We're just doing a push to get you to 100,000 subs.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very nice of you.
Yeah.
Just have to if I just drain off all of WDWs, then I might make it.
Wow, no kidding. Have you seen how quick,
Yeah.
bro?
Just
Yeah.
have him on your channel. That'll do it.
I'm just a little guy. I'm just growing.
You just rub him a little bit, and you hope some of it rubs off. But no, hopefully everything's okay, Paul. And
No, I had business issues.
okay, all right. Well, just
One
let
of
us know again.
one of our big clients lost all their email.
Oh, no.
So what doesn't look like it was us. It was Network Solutions.
Gotcha.
Bastards.
Gotcha. All
Ouch.
right. So yeah, then we're moving on to Paradise Lost. The duo described this HBO series as a Game of Thrones style drama set on an all-female island that is Wonder Woman's birthplace, Themyscira. Filled with political intrigue and scheming between power players, it takes place before the events of the Wonder Woman films. There you go. So we'll have to see if that's a reestablishment of the character or if it actually does match up with the films. We will have to see. Anybody got anything to say about Themyscira Island show?
You think they're going to have the right physics in that?
A lot of boobs.
Is it CGI or is it real?
It's a live action series, it says here.
Well, physics are hard to fake in the real life, I suppose.
I want proper physics here.
Wow. I'm not excited. I'm going to give this a C-, but who knows? I think the execution could be a B plus A. Who knows?
All right. Well, I guess nobody else has anything to say about that.
No,
And
no.
now,
I mean, if he's trying to spread the DEI points around and having an entire show with nothing but women, that buys you an awful lot of dye.
women, swords, bloods, and boobs. I can say that.
So that's what it stands for. Hair dye. DIE. Now I get it.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, I've always been a proponent of having diverse shows, not every goddamn show being diverse.
It's a good point.
And this fits, well into that.
Yeah. Well, and the next one nobody cares about. The Batman Brave and the Bold. We'll just keep moving. No, sorry. This is the introduction of the DCU Batman, said Gunn, of Bruce Wayne, and it introduces our favorite Robin, Damian Wayne, who is a little son of a bitch. The movie will take inspiration from now classic Batman run written by Grant Morrison that introduced Batman to a son he never knew existed, a murderous tween raised by assassins. It's a very strange father and son story, he said.
So who's the wife?
Yeah.
Who's the woman?
Talia al Ghul.
Oh, yes, because he's got kind of a Russian, Eastern European background. I don't know it well, but... And wasn't he supposed to have been raised over in Europe?
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul raised him or whatever, yeah.
So,
Talia
Robin, he can do all sorts of things, including getting a pirated copy of software to make the Mercedes-Benz work.
Hey, Papa, I want to take Batmobile for a ride. Do you mind?
Totally. And I'm going to put the dash cam on so I can do car crash videos, send them back to USSR.
What software is this? And I'm thinking I can be using it for Netflix.
Netflix, it will be very popular.
It is very popular. I have already 4 customers.
I can bash cars all I want and not bust the Batmobile. It will be very popular crash series for Russia.
I have so many customers. It's driving me crazy, insane. So check out Netflix. I will come to your house with one of my 4 videotapes.
I just want to say that this was more entertaining than I expect this Batman thing to be.
Oh, danke.
That was German.
I know.
It's such
I
an
don't
odd.
know what thank you is in Russian. I know what bye is. Do svidaniya.
That's Vidania.
And I don't know is Naponyamai.
And he can say "Privyet" with the best of them, but
There you
beyond that.
Pravda.
But this is such a strange way to intro Batman, and all I can think of is that it had to have come from somebody who said, "We can do Baby Batman, the little tween, and that will excite the markets, right? We'll get all the toys going out there because you'll have the father and son dynamic. We'll reestablish that the multi-generation interest in the movie and then in the merchandise." But
Hold up.
what
I'm
a
not paying
strange
support.
thing.
Nope. I don't care if I didn't know the kid didn't exist. Not paying support.
There you go. And you don't support them after they're 18 anyway. So.
That's right.
God, why would you do this? I think this is the one I had the strongest reaction to when we were talking about it yesterday. I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah, this is my big red flag right here.
Why would he pick this? So I'm not familiar with this.
I don't understand it. It's a later story. It's not that old. But yeah, Damian would be like what? 4th, 5th Robin, I think it is, or whatever.
4th,
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah. 4th.
Oh wait, no. Was there a girl Robin at some point?
Depends.
Lasted
I
all
think
2
that's an
months?
Elseworld story.
Yeah,
but
that's a.
I was done with comics late 70s.
Oh.
So
So
I
it
don't know
goes-
anything after that.
Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and then Damian.
I mean,
Right, that's the series of the
Yeah.
Robins.
Yeah, Kelly or whatever. She's Elseworld or whatever.
Yeah.
Carrie Kelly. Here's the thing. To me, it's like I don't like redundant characters to begin with. And again, why do we need to go to this extent? Because then you're gonna have to explain to the audience all the shit leading up to it, right? Like that's what I don't understand.
I know he's older, but so far no one has done The Dark Knight according to the graphic novel.
No, the
steals from
closest-
it.
The closest we got was BVS. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone steals from it, but I would love to see that book in a film.
I thought that's kind of what we were going to get with BBS, and then it went a completely different direction.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
Because I love that in the theater. I was actually getting excited in the scene where, they got the cop scene and you see the flash of lightning and there's Batman and I'm like, holy shit, that's the Frank Miller cover. And then they got the cops and he's like, you're about to see some shit, kid. I'm like, that's right out of the comic. I'm like, yes, they're doing the dark. And then all of a sudden it just takes a left turn and I'm like, what the fuck did they do? Like,
I don't get it. And of course, the Burton one stole from it also.
yeah, Burton, he took from Killing Joke and Dark Knight mostly. But
Anyways, I would just like to see that book the way it is.
yeah, I'm fine
On
with
the
that
screen.
too. I would have been happy to see that with Affleck even.
Yeah,
But at this point,
he would have been great.
Well, this isn't like older grizzled Batman. This is like
No, I know that. You
late
can't-
30s,
can't-
early 40s
Yeah,
Batman.
you don't want to.
but
You don't want to do grizzled Batman yet. But so I know nothing about this Batman. I
Yeah, I know very little too. So
like
sorry.
I'm solving crime using the Batcave and analyzing things in his Bat computer.
Wow.
I've always thought that using Scarecrow, we've never had a really good Scarecrow representation in a movie. That would be there could be so much fun with the psycho thriller kind of genre if you did Scarecrow preying on Bruce Wayne in the memory of his parents. It could be really
Well,
fun.
you never know what's going to happen in the Batman Part 2. You
True
might
that.
get your wish.
I'll tell you another one. I wouldn't mind to see a redo on Mr. Freeze. I mean, that was a joke character, and the only time we've seen him in the movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the way that character was represented
Chill
in the
out.
animated series was phenomenal, and I would love to see a rogue villain that is, has that that genuine need to be bad because he's trying to save his wife. That's a really cool backstory that I would like to see. And it reminds me as well that DC could solve one of the problems that Marvel has had, that being that in Marvel, other than a few exceptions, they're really bad at presenting villains you care about.
Right.
So if that would be my suggestion for DC is going forward, give us the villains, give us the bad guys that have a deep and well-represented narrative on the screen that makes us care.
And I think you're right. I think you just hit on it, Pro. I think DC has a better rogues gallery across the board than Marvel. And let me tell you, the most underwhelming thing that's going to be introduced in the Quantum Mania, who cares about this film thing that's coming up? That is, Kang. Who cares? And a lot of people are going to be walking in fresh to that character because they didn't take the time to watch the Disney Plus series. I mean, you're really...
Well, the bigger problem there is going back to what Pro was talking about. Freeze is a great example. That's a tragic villain, not a sympathetic villain per se, so much a tragic villain. That's what they forget. They keep trying to make him sympathetic.
It's like
you got to make
right?
tragic villains. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and again, their backstories are tragic, but
that's why I love the DeVito version of it even more.
Yeah,
right?
Oh yeah, he did a great job being just that.
Well, not just that, because not is he just a piece of shit gangster guy. He's a monster, right? Like he's physically deformed, and the whole thing is. I love that whole portrayal of that character. I know some people don't, but that's actually my favorite Penguin.
I think Marvel had better superheroes and DC had better bad guys.
You're probably right, because outside of the Trinity, I mean, yeah, the Lanterns are cool and some of the other stuff's cool, but they don't you're right. Like as far as like interesting backstories and them being more than just two-dimensional good guys or whatever. Yeah, I agree with you in that sense. But that's where you have to have fun with DC. DC lives in a fantasy world, right? They're from Metropolis, Gotham, not places that exist in the real world. So that's where I feel like you can have a little bit more of the fantasy element in these movies, and I don't have a problem with that. Like a Clayface.
Right, or, and they need to be localized.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I'm hating the departure with what they're going to do at Marvel with the Daredevil, because you have an on the ground Hell's Kitchen crew, and you're fudging that all up, and I'm tired of that. I'm hating it.
Well, yeah, because that's the issue that Marvel has. Marvel turns around and tells you, oh, the villain is bad because of this and this and this and this, and this is why you should feel bad for them. It's like, no, that's the definition of a villain, is somebody who has this and this and this happen to them, but they can't get past that. And they want to take it out on everybody else. That's what makes them a fucking villain. You don't get it, right? Like, and that's where Superman is one of the few people who understands that in his own way. Batman understands that in his own way. Wonder Woman understands that in her own way. And they all deal with it in their own ways. But they all have that fundamental thing. Like even Superman. Yeah, he has a tragic background too. Lost his entire fucking family. Entire planet for that matter. Yeah. Entire culture, race, whatever you want to put in that spot. But he's gotten past that. He was brought up by good parents. Through those values, he is Superman, right? He uses those values to guide him into being the Man of Steel, right? Could have totally went a different way. He could have been raised by the wrong parents. We've done stories like that before. But that's the thing, is you need to find the right villains. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they stack up in this movies, and I'm glad to hear some of the things that Gunn and Safran are saying, and we're going to get to that properly in just a moment when we finish up these synopsis here. But the next one is the Booster Gold.
Well, the big switcheroo, though, before you go, the big switcheroo, watch it, ladies and gentlemen, and I am kidding on this, but wouldn't it be something? Cavill will be the new Batman, raising the angry tween.
That would be interesting. And they did say that they have talked to him about other characters.
Wouldn't that be a switcheroo, though, if that's already in negotiations and we just don't know it? It would be something.
I did guess, or I just took a wild guess, that I wouldn't be surprised if Cavill doesn't show up someplace else in the DC universe. So that's we're thinking along the same lines.
They've already
WB.
teased it, yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that's an impossibility. I could see that.
Well, or he could play one of the women in Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
You win.
I
win.
think it's and yeah. Now that he'd have to use a lot of tape.
I know. I mean, the physics would be right at least.
Yeah. So then real quick here, because we're going to be losing Pro. An HBO Max series, Booster Gold, is based on the unique, lesser-known character created in 86. Saffron said of the series, it's about a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to the today and pretend to be a superhero. Gunn described it as an imposter syndrome as superhero. Now, people are thinking that this is a shoo-in for Chris Pratt.
Oh, yeah, that's no doubt. I'm pretty sure they were talking about this on the last film, right? When they were talking about Guardians 3. I guarantee you that was like, hey, we're going to wrap. Hey, Chris, could you come over here for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that if Chris Pratt goes over to do this, then does that mean that his character in the MCU is going to be over, or are they going to compete directly between the two, sharing him? And if I'm Marvel, I'm freaked out because, and I'm they already know what's happening in the movie, but Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the last things they've got going that could, and it's got two characters. It's got Rocket, it's got Groot that never age, so they can merchandise those things.
And
nonstop.
It's those two characters that I think are going to die.
Right.
And
Well,
I think the rest of the characters are going to go off on their...
It's merchandising idiocy if they kill Rocket. It is so bad.
You may be right, because they're kind of over teasing that in the trailer. Now, here's the other thing. I heard we can almost guarantee Drax is going to die. Because pretty much anybody who's loyal to James Gunn and has already said they're not going back to Disney, obviously, Drax. I think that there's going to be a couple leftovers, but majority of this cast is not going to want to return. I think that's the case. And then you have, for Disney, that's probably fine for them because Chris Pratt's paycheck's probably getting up there. I'm sure Zoe's getting quite a bit now.
Well, she's going to move on. She moves on to her own series with her own team. You've got Pratt.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah,
potentially being available for future films, but your hunches as far as who's gone is there. You're swinging. You're batting 1,000 right now.
I already kind of figured that there was going to be a bunch of goodbyes in this movie, right? I figured we were going to get a bunch of people dying, or they were going to be set like at the end. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to go off and do this thing," basically taking them out of the equation, like Culture just said. Setting up a new Guardians of the Galaxy, because the Guardians of the Galaxy has had various rosters over the years. In fact, the one that we know now isn't even the original Guardians of the Galaxy, from my understanding. So
no, and you've got,
there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, if one of the baddies in the film is the High Evolutionary, I think or whatever that villain is. I always screw that up.
Well, remember when Sylvester Stallone showed up and stuff like that, they had already rumored that we were going to get a spin-off movie of them, but that was before Gunn got fired originally too.
Right.
So who's to say they won't pick up with that group as the Guardians after this? But it's not going to have James Gunn involved, so I don't think most people will give a shit after that. But that's just me, because I highly doubt James is going to come back to Disney after this.
Yeah, High Evolutionary, yeah.
And we got the other big problem here, Supergirl, World Women of Tomorrow, taking cues from the recent Tom King written miniseries. This movie promises a different take than most of Superman's cousins when Supergirl comes to mind. Why didn't they just fucking say that? We will see the difference between Superman. They got this long convoluted thing there. I just summed it up. Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from a timeline when he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, a chip off of Krypton, and who watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life, and then come to Earth. She is more hardcore and not Supergirl we're used to. And see, that's what I'm saying. I see her being set up as a juxtaposed character to Superman. So they could do some good with this, but I'm not so sure. People, the Tom King thing has everybody up in arms.
It's just garbage.
And then with Swamp Thing, we literally get a one-sentence thing. A horror film that promises to close out the first part of the first chapter. That's all it says.
Like I said, I think if I said it before, I think Swamp Thing's one I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Lanterns. Maybe Booster Gold.